In foreclosure, the bank has to show it owns your house. But what most people don't know is that almost half the time, the banks don't have the paperwork to prove it in court. In many cases, it ends up lost or destroyed. It's a national problem the banks would love to keep quiet, because knowing that could be your best defense in fighting foreclosure.
Everything was all right until I refinanced.
Like many homeowners, Jackie O'Brien is behind on her mortgage. She bought her house near Clearwater, Florida in 2004, but in 2007 fell behind on her payments following a death in the family.
I'd returned to England and I was sort of giving support to family members and things like this. And when I came back to America, I was in default with my mortgage. I was behind with my payments.
She says she tried on several occasions to catch up on her payments with her bank, Wachovia. She showed us a photocopy of one catch-up payment for $8,500, but the bank wouldn't accept it and is foreclosing on her property. They wouldn't take your payments after that?
No, they wouldn't take my payments. That was it. No more. They didn't even want to talk to me.
But in foreclosure, she discovered the bank filed a motion for lost instruments. In other words, the bank lost or destroyed the actual proof that it owns her house.
I think the note has been sold on so many times and they've become very sloppy with their paperwork. It could be on a dumpster somewhere for all I know.
A bank losing a mortgage note may sound like a rare occurrence, but a recent study by law professor Catherine Porter found it happens nearly half the time.
What I found is that banks failed to attach a copy of the promissory note, that is the evidence that the consumer owes the debt, in 40% of the situations. So 4 out of 10 consumers were being asked by their bank to make payments on a mortgage, but the bank didn't provide the evidence to establish what those debts were.
And last November, a federal court ruled against Deutsche Bank and stopped them from foreclosing on 14 houses until they could produce the note. Those foreclosures are still in limbo.
If your case ends up in court, don't let the mortgage companies off easy. Make them produce the note.
Chris Hoyer is a Tampa attorney who's on the internet with a free website that teaches people how to fight foreclosure. He thinks people should fight, not for a free house, but for a better deal.
If you're about to lose your home, at least make them produce the note. Make them prove, first, that they have the note, the IOU, and second, that the person who's standing in court is a person authorized by the owner to take your home.
And that's just what Jackie O'Brien is planning to do.
I'd like to know who actually owns my mortgage. I'd like to know who I can deal with. I'm going to make them produce the note.
She says the bank is pressing on with foreclosure and won't agree on a catch-up payment. In addition, she says they keep tacking on fees.
The only way that they will do it is that if I pay them something like $20,000 in fees and things, they want me to pay all these extra fees that they've thrown in on top.
Catherine Porter says excessive and unnecessary fees are also a national trend.
The most disturbing thing we saw was that most banks simply don't tell consumers what these fees are for. So we saw thousands of dollars of charges that were labeled as other or miscellaneous. And so consumers have no way to know if, in fact, those fees are legitimate.
We contacted Wachovia to ask about the case, and they said, due to customer privacy concerns, we cannot give specifics into pending customer actions, but we will work with customers through the delinquency and foreclosure process to keep them in their homes. O'Brien says if the bank can't find her note, they should renegotiate a new mortgage without the fees and payments she can afford.
I want to pay. I'm not looking for a free ride or anything. I want to pay my mortgage. I want to get my life back on track.
O'Brien goes to court soon to find out how long she'll stay in her house. Attorney Chris Hoyer says if you get a foreclosure notice, you should get an attorney and find out when and where your foreclosure court date is. Do not just abandon your property and move out. For CNNMoney.com, I'm Greg Hunter.